Lokati here. We are going to be putting together kind of a leveling guide for people who want to play the explosive trap acid blast rogue build. And so we're going to kind of do this step by step so you can see where you're going to be at different levels and what your options are as you get started putting this build together. So we're going to start off first with a rogue at level 1. Nothing complicated here. You're going to run through the little beginning area. You're going to get a few passive skill points. And we're going to start off putting our passive skill points right down here in dodge rating and poison resist. And this is where our first few passive skill points are going to go. Um, as we put those in there, you're going to get to town. You're going to have a few pieces of gear. And if you are leveling this as a second or a third character, you might even have the vial of volatile ice. This is an incredibly easy to find. Minimum drop level is 5, requires level 1. So you should be able to get it, find it, have it readily available, Rune of Ascendance it off of a catalyst, something. This will heavily speed up your leveling process. Now over here, if you're really lucky, you also have a fire starter's torch. This is probably one of the best leveling weapons in the game. So if you've got one, equip it. If you don't have one, we'll figure out something else to put there. Again, if it's second or third characters, we can equip a calamity. And then if we're lucky, we've also got a tome of elements. This is a good little setup for starting out leveling gear. Now, if you don't have a fire starter's torch, we're going to want to probably put a dagger in this hand. And we can use a low level, just a level 1 dagger until we get something better that has 2% crit chance on it. And so we'll equip that. And if we have some luck or we have some shards, we can go ahead and put crit strike chance and crit strike multiplier on that dagger. So we have a nice little starting dagger here. But obviously the fire starter's torch is much more ideal. If you don't have a vial of volatile ice right here, again, we can use any old catalyst. I'll move this item. We can use any old catalyst that is available that fits the bill. Got any of these over here can do. You can use a shield if you only have access to a shield. And so let's say you just got a shield. So we equip a shield. On our amulet, we just want to grab an amulet. Ideally, it'll be Jade amulet. And we're just going to want to throw throwing damage on it. A couple ranks in throwing damage would be a huge difference to us. Same thing down here. We want some gloves. Want to throw throwing damage on it. If we're lucky, we can get some throwing attack speed on it. So we have a nice little set of starting gloves down here. For our body armor, doesn't really matter. Grab whatever body armor you can. You're not going to have access to a whole lot of really great body armors to start with. And so obviously a health and a health percentage will give us some survivability here. If you don't have a calamity, you don't need a calamity. You can use any old hood or leather mask or whatever it is that you want to. And again, it's going to be most important that we just have some health and health percentage so that we can survive through the campaign. Now, our ring slots are going to be important. A copper ring is ideal, but we want throwing reduced mana cost. And we're going to want to get this as high as we can, but we definitely want to have at least one on each of these slots of throwing reduced mana cost. It'll definitely make our leveling process much smoother. Boots, you just want boots, and you just want boots with move speed. You need to get around, very important. And then our belt, just grab any old belt that you can get a hold of. We're going to be doing fire damage for a while, so if you can throw fire damage and elemental damage over time on the belt, this will be really good for you. Until we get access to the cold flasks, we want fire damage. Once we have access to the cold flask, we want to do cold damage here. Now, this is us kind of hanging out at level 5. We've got 5 passive skill points. We're going to go ahead and start speccing into acid flask, and we're going to immediately start going over here. Now, as we're leveling up, we're going to go ahead and come over to our passes, and we're going to put 5 into here. We're going to put 5 into here. And then we're going to put 5 into here. This will get us to level 20. and get us availability to unlock our rogue over to a falconer. Oh no, it's resetting everything. Yeah, we got our passive set. Again, our skills, we're going to want acid flask and over here. Now, as we're leveling up, in addition to acid flask, we're going to want to go ahead and start leveling up smoke bomb. For smoke bomb, we want to cut in 2 points in here and then immediately go as much as we can in here. This is going to be a huge boost to our damage versus bosses, which is really the only slowdown in the leveling process, is getting the bosses killed. Now, as we get our passives up, we're going to come over to Falconer. We're going to want to go ahead and put 5 points into chance to gain haste for 2 seconds when you or your falcon hit an enemy. This is a more damage multiplier, and a haste helps us to move through maps much more rapidly than we normally would. So this is a really good one for us to pick here. We're also going to go ahead and unlock an additional skill. So we'll come over here. We'll now have access to explosive traps. And we're going to start moving our explosive trap over to Instrument of the Alchemist. Now, once we have access to this, and we have access to this, we're going to move down across here and go to Piercing Debris. This is going to be a huge bonus to our damage. We get flat damage here, huge bonus here. Now, if we're still throwing fire flasks, that's wonderful. We still do a ton of damage with fire flasks, but as soon as we can, we want to switch this over to our vial. This is a absolutely huge bonus to our damage and going to speed up our leveling process quite a bit. But if you're still throwing fire flasks, throw the fire flasks, they'll work just fine. Back over to passives. And so we're going to continue leveling. We need to put a point in here so that we can start putting points in here. This gives us stacks of Crimson Shroud. Crimson Shroud is a very nice buff for us. And then we're going to go ahead and put a point in here so that we can get some dodge rating, mana regen, and mana gain. This is really nice for our leveling process. We actually only need 4 points in there, so we'll put 4 points in there. And then we'll just continue upgrading our gear. We want higher crit strike multiplier. Maybe we're lucky, we get a slam of frailty on here. That'll be a nice boost to our survivability. Up on our helmet, we want to keep on increasing the health on it. This will help us to survive longer. Same thing on our body armor. Look for or upgrade to higher health and health percentages here. The prefixes on these don't really matter. Now, at this level, you can easily go and do a lightless armor if you have a key. Once you complete the lightless armor, there's a 40% chance that you're going to get a peak of the mountain. If you don't get one, do it again. If you don't get one, do it again. It's easy to get a hold of. You get good experience in lightless armor, and this is a massive bonus to our leveling. Now, we're probably not going to have the affixes here, so we'll take those off. But Peak of the Mountain is a huge critical strike bonus. Very, very, very good for us to have. Now, as we continue leveling, we're going to get some additional skills here. Falconry we get access to, so we're going to spec into Falconry. And the first thing we're going to do in the Falconry is go up here and get our buff duration. This is a move speed and throwing attack speed when our Falcon is throwing out Falcon marks. We want to get more Falcon marks over here. I want to come over here. This point will change later, but we're going to put this point in right now so that we can rush over to here. This is going to give us a huge bonus to our kill threshold and give us a little bit of health gain and mana regen as our Falcon is hitting bosses or killing enemies. Now our trap over here, we want to move across here, get some mana efficiency, and then get some more mana efficiency. Mana efficiency is going to be a huge bonus to us so that we can throw out more flasks and do more damage. On our smoke bomb over here, we're going to come and take Dust Shroud. We're going to want to turn it into a traversal skill, and then we're going to want to come over and take Silver Shroud. puts us at a good position for all of our skills. Our acid flask is going to continue leveling. We want to come down here and start working towards getting our knowledge of immunity. Now, if you have the vial, this will allow you to convert uncapped cold resist into cold penetration. It's very strong. If you don't have the vial yet, you're going to be throwing fire and it'll be uncapped fire resist. If that's the case, we can do these passive and just immediately move over into corrosive. Corrosive is going to give us a huge boost to our damage. But if you have the vial, you'll want to go ahead and go down here. Now, we're going to continue leveling. We're going to continue putting passives in. And next passive we're going to want to dump into is increased throwing attack damage and increased throwing attack speed. Very, very powerful. And then we're going to want to dump into all the way to 5 points here for throwing damage and added throwing damage conversion for our Falcon. We're also going to want to put 1 point in here so that we get access to Silver Shroud, which is a nice defensive ability, and 1 point in here so that we get access to Falcon Strikes and Dive Bomb being instant cast abilities. Now, we only put 1 point in this one because we're going to be using it later to get to here. And then ideally, this is our next goal right here. And so we're going to start putting points in here. And we're going to put points in here until we can get to this point. This is our crit strike chance and crit strike multiplier. So we're going to dump 6 points in here. This will get us up to access to Stymphalian Feathers. What a weird one. I haven't actually read that out loud before. And we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 in there. And then that gets us to this node right here. And then 3 points up here. Now, leveling past this is going to be based on what you need. If everything feels good over here, we'll hop over to Marksman Tree. We'll put 5 points in here. Then we'll come over and put 5 points in here. And then we'll put 4 points in here for our crit vuln. And then we hop back into the Falconer tree, and we're going to start picking things based on where we need health and survivability, where we need more damage. This gets into the actual end game build of the character because we're about level 75 right now. Now for our passives, our active skills, we will have picked up one more active skill, which is Dive Bomb. And for Dive Bomb, the first thing we're going to do is rush over to here. Now, once we have gotten over to here, we're going to put points here, here, and here, and then we'll take out these 2 points so that we have a tree that looks like this. Now we're going to go here and here. This is to get access to our explosive traps detonate with Dive Bomb, and we get more Talon Blade stacks. This gives us Talon Blades. This gives us access to Talon Blade stacks with Feather Fall. These are cooldown reductions, which we'll improve on later. This gives us access to mana gain on boss hit or rare. This gives us access to Cloud Gatherer, which increases our smoke bomb duration. And then this is where we're sitting at kind of 12 to 14 points in all of our skills. Once you're at this point, you're kind of out of the leveling phase and you're ready to go with your gear. You should be improving on your gear as you go. Obviously, this ring, we want to add a second prefix to it. We could do cold damage as our second prefix on it. Maybe on this ring, we didn't get as lucky or we got something different. We get crit chance on this ring over here. We want to figure out our resists. So maybe we switch this over to a bone amulet to help with our resists up here. We have maybe Ellie resists on our ring down here so that we have more Ellie resists, and over on this ring over here. We also go ahead and do some Ellie resist here. Maybe our gloves got upgraded to Crusader gloves so that we have some void resistance. On our boots, ideally, we got our move speed up to tier 5. Maybe we picked up some extra dexterity here to help us out. And then we got some necrotic resistance to help out with our necrotic resistance. You kind of see how we're going. Just kind of balance everything out as you go. Once you're in the 70s, you'll have access to Yucini's Spear, which is a nice bonus to our damage, assuming our attunement and our intelligence are matched. So that means that this one would have to move over to an attunement roll instead of a dexterity roll to match with our Bottle of Ice. If we're lucky, we got a better dagger and we moved up to a sai, which is going to give us higher crit and increased dodge rating. That's very nice. And you can see little things to build our gear as we go. Spider Silk Sash helps us roll out more resistances, especially in the poison world and the cold world, which we're going to start needing. Um, our our acid flask we will have converted to cold by now. And so we can come down here and pull points out of here so we can get down to capping out our knowledge of immunity. Our smoke bomb, maybe we got lucky and we got some ward gained on shadow, but probably not because that thing's hard to find. So we went into dust shroud frequency to help out here. And we also went ahead and went into an increased duration here. Our explosive trap, we went down here to buff our bird a little bit. We moved over here so that we're now throwing out 3 traps instead of 1 as we're throwing our traps around. And we can even come in here and boost our fire shred. If we were super lucky and we got -5 throwing mana cost, we can actually come over here and throw additional traps. That would be huge for us. We have a couple of choices there, but if you didn't get lucky, you're safer coming over here for that than you are going back over here. You can also put 1 more point in here just to guarantee a 100% chance to throw acid flasks whenever we do trap sprinkler. For our falconry over here, we will have moved down and across here to do more falcon damage, move down and across here to do more falcon damage, and then we can pull this point. This is not like, oh, sorry, we need 1 more point in here so we can pull that point out. There we go. So your tree will look like this instead. Come over here to our dive bomb. We will have gotten more cooldown reduction here and cooldown recovery so that we have access to more of our shards. This will give us 0 mana cost on our dive bomb, which is very nice to have. And then we'll polish this off with a couple of points in reducing the delay of the dive bomb just so that it falls faster and then we can continue doing our abilities faster. Like I said, leveling process is really straightforward. You're just going to throw acid flasks until you have access to explosive trap. Once you have access to explosive trap, you're going to continue throwing acid flasks until you have access to automated bombardment and instrument of the alchemist, and you'll switch over to just throwing explosive traps. And then we get over here so that we're throwing more explosive traps so that we have more procs of the alchemist flasks. And it just kind of builds on itself as you go. Now, if you have any questions, hit me up on Twitch, hit me up on YouTube. You can catch me in the comments. I check those every day if I remember to. And most importantly, I know you've been asked this 1,000 times, but like, follow, and subscribe. These are crucial free activities you can do to support your content creators. Now, if I didn't earn your like or your subscribe or your follow, I get it. But if you enjoyed the video, shoot them over. Come hit me up on Twitch. I really appreciate if you just drop in and say, hey, I saw your video. It's good information. Or, hey, I saw your video. You look like an idiot. Whatever it is, I really enjoy the feedback and I like interacting with our community. Thank you very much again, and y'all have an absolutely wonderful day.